Good morning, my friends. This is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This morning, first thing, when I got out of bed and I turned on my phone and I wanted to check some Facebook pages of friends, the first thing I saw was my friends from Florida that live on the ocean, and Lena and Michael. And Michael takes such beautiful videos of the ocean, and they had posted this ocean and you could hear the waters coming in, and the verse that said, casting all your cares on him, for he cares for you. 1 Peter 5:7. And I needed to hear that. I needed it in such a way that it was like a boost into my life. And then when I came to sit at God's word, Genesis 39, I read that, yes, in verse 2 we read, and the Lord was with Joseph, but verse 3 also says, his master saw that the Lord was with him, with Joseph, and that the Lord made all that Joseph did to prosper in his hand. When the Lord is with us, this is what happens. He found grace in his master's sight, and he served him, and everything Joseph did, the Lord was blessing. So this is such a wonderful encouragement, because when we are walking with the Lord, everything we do, we have learned God's word. As a child, my mom and dad would teach us God's word. And mom, every morning we had to repeat verses. And I remember in the darkest, difficult times in my life, that God's word is what comes and encourages me. More than what friends have said, more than what my family have said, I remember God's word. To myself, I repeat it. And that day in the bathroom in Lebanon, when we were facing death and we thought these robbers were going to come back and kill us, the first thing that came out of our mouth, and we started saying Psalms 121. Of course, we said it in Armenian. I will lift up my eyes unto the hills. From where comes my help? My help comes from the Lord who made the heavens and the earth. And as we were saying those verses, our hearts were encouraged. Yes, we were still in fear. Yes, we were thinking we're going to die at any time, but we were encouraging ourselves in the inner man. And I love God's word. And this morning when I went into my closet, this came from my brother Danny's office, and I took it because we have God's word everywhere, and he had it in his office. And one of the verses my grandfather had written while he was in America, because my grandfather wrote them in the thousands, God's word in Lebanon and in many languages, and he gave it to people. And sometimes I'll go into a shop in Pasadena and I'll see God's word hanging there because my grandfather had given it to them. And this one says from Proverbs 16:3, commit your way unto the Lord, your work unto the Lord, and your plans will be achieved. We need God's word everywhere. It's our encouragement, our strength. And this morning, as I continued in Psalms 34, I read these verses in verse 17 in Psalms 34 verse 17, and it says, the righteous cry, and the Lord hears and delivers them of all their troubles. The Lord is near unto them that are of a broken heart, and saves such as be of a contrite spirit. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all. What promises we have. And yesterday when a friend had told me her son was going into surgery and she's in Singapore, and I started praying, and the first verse that came to me to write to her, to text to her, was Psalms 50:15, and it says, call me in the day of trouble. Call me in the day of trouble, and I will deliver you, and you will glorify me. Let's learn God's word. Let's take it and put it into our hearts and minds where we learn it by heart. My mom, at 74 years old, she's 85 now, so 11 years ago, she learned the whole chapter of Revelation 1 in Armenian, as many as verses she knows, because nobody can compete with my mom when it comes to saying verses by heart. But she knows so many verses, but she decided she was going to learn Revelation 1, the whole chapter, and every night before she goes to bed, before her prayers, she says Revelation 1. And I love to hear her in Armenian as she's saying it. And I'm amazed, but I say, Lord, if she can learn it at 74, of course I can learn verses. So I've started learning verses so that they can come out of my mouth when I'm talking to people. More than any other language, I want to speak God's word. In fact, a friend, a pastor here in town said, yeah, I think Jasmine's first language is not Armenian, it is God's word. And I want that. I want God's word to be my first language of speaking to people, because that's what's going to bring fruit in our life. And Joseph, because the Lord was with him, he was prospering even in the most difficult situation he was in. So today, remember, the Lord is with you. Remember, learn his word, and let the Lord just encourage you in your most difficult situations you are facing and I am facing today. The Lord bless you.